Did you know that 88% of Metro Manila's air pollution comes from vehicles? Even the LRT adds to the 35.42 million tons of carbon dioxide transportation emitted in 2022. Are you on Team Walang Pasok? Well, 6 tropical typhoons, including 2 super typhoons, hit in just 25 days. Think about how this impacts our farmers and the food on your plate. Do you love fashion? Well, fast fashion dumps 267,111 tons of textile waste in landfills every year. There's more to everyday life than meets your eye. Join us to explore solutions for a more greener and brighter future.
Tara, sakay naman tayo ng LRT.
Good morning. I'm Nathan, just an everyday commuter like many of you. Every morning, I ride the LRT, and every day, I feel the weight of the city's air. It's heavy, it's polluted, and sometimes, it makes me wonder, why does getting to work have to come with such a cost? But imagine if it didn't? Imagine if our daily commute would help clean the air, not harm it. This isn't a distant dream. It's possible with something we see every day. The sun. Right now, our LRT systems rely heavily on fossil fuels. Every train ride releases harmful gases such as carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide that fills our lungs and heat up our planet. This affects all of us. Health issues, rising costs, and more intense typhoons. We're not just passengers on this train. We're passengers on a warming planet. But the solution is shining down on us. What if we powered our LRT with solar energy? Imagine solar panels on station roofs, along the tracks, or at depots. These panels could generate clean electricity for lighting, ticket machines, and even trains themselves. This isn't just a theory. Cities like Hong Kong are already using it. Their transit systems use 2,100 solar panels, creating emissions and saving money. We have the technology, and we have plenty of sunshine. So it's time we use it. What would this mean for us commuters? First, cleaner air. Less fuel means fewer pollutants, which means fewer respiratory illnesses. Imagine stepping onto a platform and breathing freely. Man, that would be good. Second, lower costs. Solar energy can reduce operational expenses, making our LRT more efficient. These savings could improve services or even lower ticket prices. And let's not forget, installing solar panels creates jobs in the renewable energy sector, boosting our economy. So, what can we do? We need to raise our voices, support policies that promote renewable energy, talk about these solutions with your friends and family. Change doesn't start in boardrooms. Instead, it starts with us, the people, who use the train systems every day. Every ride on a solar-powered LRT isn't just a trip. It's a statement. A step towards cleaner air, healthier cities, and a future we can be proud of. The sun is rising on a new era of transportation. So let's make sure that we're on board. That's all. Thank you.
Hi! Traffic na naman! Ito naman parating na naman nagbabago. Welcome to EDSA. Dami-daming kotse, may hybrid vehicles pa, hindi naman nakakatulong. Did you know that? Here's the thing. You might think that if you drive a hybrid vehicle, you're helping the environment. After all, these cars run on electricity, right? What if I told you that here in the Philippines, driving a hybrid car might not be as eco-friendly as it seems? You see, the Philippines still depends on fossil fuels for most of its energy. And those hybrids? They're still charging up with electricity generated by coal and natural gas. Climate change, global warming. We hear about it every day, yet their impacts continue to worsen with each passing year. The solution? Hybrid vehicles. They're marketed as the next step in saving the planet, clean, eco-friendly alternatives to traditional cars. But here's the truth. In the Philippines, the production and use of these automobiles have a negative effect on climate change due to the significant amount of energy required and emissions produced for the utilization and assembly of parts in a hybrid vehicle. It negates the supposed benefits of using this type of automobile. However, there are a few courses of action that can be taken to maximize the potential of hybrid vehicles in terms of their intended beneficial use for the environment. But here's the good news! We have the power to change this. In fact, the Philippines already has a plan. By 2030, 35% of our energy is supposed to come from renewable sources. That's a big deal. If we can make the switch to clean energy, hybrid cars will actually live up to their promise, reducing emissions and making a real difference. We can also use Nordic countries as a basis in how to implement clean energy to the power grid. However, given that the Philippines may have different capabilities when compared to countries such as Norway and Sweden, the country can alter what these Nordic countries have done to be able to implement in our country. Let's talk about these batteries. Hybrid vehicles are powered by batteries, and these things take a lot of energy to make and also do not use clean energy. This dependence on fossil fuels in manufacturing adds to the effects caused by the import and export of the parts of the vehicle. To a more environmentally friendly batteries such as vanadium flow batteries, which are known to be recyclable, long-lasting, and non-toxic. Less mining will be needed for the materials found in the hybrid electric vehicle batteries when transitioning to vanadium flow batteries, which translates to a decrease in toxic fumes and water consumption. However, one may make an argument that it also holds substantial disadvantages, such as high costs, which can mean that the prices of these hybrid vehicles may go up. It's outweighed by the fact that these high-cost flow batteries have a longer lifespan than traditional batteries and are recyclable, which means that they will be cheaper when viewed in the long-term point of view. But the biggest part of the solution? Us. That's right. The public can make a difference. How? By making sure old hybrid car batteries get properly recycled.
As proactive citizens, we can also implement a recycling drive to safely recycle old hybrid car batteries, which will reduce the demand for new materials and the environmental impact of battery manufacturing.
Given how the primary problems are the change in climate, global warming, and the overall violation of our right to have a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment, it would be safe to conclude that every single person will benefit from the solution, with marginalized and unfortunate people benefiting from it the most. It's happening! We're seeing people come together, doing their part to make the world a better place. This recycling drive isn't just about saving the planet, it's about creating a movement. The more people who participate, the bigger the impact we can make. We all need to be part of the solution. We need to demand cleaner energy, we need to push for better, greener car technology, and we need to make sure we're recycling, reducing waste, and reusing materials. The future of our planet depends on what we do today.
Join me as I move towards greener pastures. Let us save the earth.
Bagyo na naman? Paano na to? Ano gagawin ko? Lahat ng tanim ko pwedeng mamatay. Ano kaya kong gawin? Hindi ko na din alam. Well, if you're watching this, I'm a farmer. Isang magsasaka dito sa Pilipinas. And what I'm going through is not just my problem. Problema to para sa lahat. Just like the rest of the world, the Philippines faces this ever-growing challenge. Climate change. And in the Philippines, farming has always been challenging. But now, because of climate change, it makes it almost impossible. Temperatures are rising, rainfall doesn't come when it's supposed to, so unpredictable. And the storms, the typhoons, yung mga bagyo, they're getting stronger and more destructive. Let me give you an example. Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda, noong 2013, grabe yung lakas. It hit us so hard. It destroyed farms all across the country, wiping out crops, and leaving farmers with nothing to sell, nothing to eat. And that wasn't a one-time event. It kept on happening. Storm after storm. Super typhoon after super typhoon. Grabe. When you depend on the land, every flood, every drought, every storm can push you deeper into poverty. We're not just talking about losing crops. Food becomes more expensive. And for those of us who still try to farm, napapaisip na lang kami. Tataka na lang kami. How long can we survive, diba? Like this, na ganito yung sitwasyon natin. Hindi ko din alam. Pero yung importante dito, the important thing is, hindi lang to problema ng mga magsasaka. Because this affects everyone. Kasi when we struggle, when the farmers struggle, the whole food supply chain feels it, diba? Prices tumataas, and food becomes harder to find. Especially for those already struggling to make ends meet. Pero may pag-asa. There's always hope, di ba? And that hope comes from sustainable agricultural practices.
Wow!
Which we call climate resilient agriculture. Ano nga ibig sabihin? Ano ba yun? What does that mean? Well, instead of relying only on rainfall, we can also improve our irrigation systems. We can also conserve the soil by planting cover crops and using organic fertilizers. And here's the good news. Hindi lang siya teorya. It's not just a theory. This is proven. Because other countries in Asia, like Vietnam and India, they've also started using these methods. They've already started using these methods. And they've seen real great results. And in the Philippines, we can do the same here. Imagine a future where farmers don't just survive the storms, but thrive despite them. Diba? Where food is always available and farmers are empowered with the tools and knowledge they need. That's what sustainable agriculture can do and what it's all about. Let's talk about why this solution matters so much. Well, 1, it protects food security. Number 2, it supports farmers' livelihoods. And 3, of course, it's good for the environment. And while it takes effort and investment upfront, the long-term benefits are, they outweigh the costs, di ba? Every peso we spend today on sustainable farming is an investment in a more secure future.
OMG! 12-12 na! Ano kaya magandang bilhin ngayon?
Before you add to cart, did you know the environmental implications of fast fashion and overconsumption?
Fashion is exciting, trendy, and a way to express ourselves. But behind the glam lies an environmental disaster. Fast fashion. The fashion industry is the second largest contributor to climate change. From textile waste to carbon emissions, fast fashion accelerates this destruction.
When you buy a shirt from brands like H&M, it often travels thousands of miles from places like China or Bangladesh. This process wastes energy and produces harmful emissions, and those workers in these countries, they face dangerous conditions and unfair wages. Cotton, the material in many fast fashion garments, is a water-hungry crop. It takes 2,700 liters of water just to make one t-shirt. And once you throw away that cheap shirt, it sits in a landfill for hundreds of years thanks to synthetic fibers like polyester. It's the developing world like the Philippines that bears the brunt of this environmental damage.
Rising sea levels, extreme typhoons, and erratic weather patterns are just a few of the devastating effects of climate change. Impacts that the fashion industry plays a major role in causing. A study by Neil Limaki and colleagues in 2020 found that fast fashion exacerbates climate change, relying on cheap manufacturing, overconsumption, and garments that are only used for a short period.
But why does fast fashion even exist in the first place? Simple. It's a business model designed for high profits and low cost. Its low price point, combined with trend-driven cycles, make it irresistible. In the Philippines, brands like Shein have dominated the fashion scene, especially among the youth. But what if we could change this? What if we can slow down the cycle of overconsumption? Educating consumers on the true cost
of fast fashion is key. But how can we do this in a way that resonates? Enter social media. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook have become avenues to spread awareness on the environmental cost of fast fashion.
The rise of eco-friendly influencers and thrift hauls is making sustainable fashion cool. It's a way for the youth to embrace their style while making better, more informed choices. Another way to combat fast fashion is by embracing alternatives like thrifting or buying secondhand online. This reduces waste and prevents the overconsumption of new clothing. And the best part, it's affordable.
Social media has the power to reach millions, and in today's digital world, anyone can create content. Whether it's a TikTok or an Instagram post, spreading the word about sustainable fashion is in our hands. Hashtags like #UkayUkayHaul or #sustainable fashion can boost these messages and make them visible to a wider audience. The truth is, no one can force you to stop buying fast fashion. However, awareness is key. Knowing the environmental toll, labor exploited, and the resources wasted on these fashion garments can guide you into making more responsible and informed decisions. So the question remains, will you turn a blind eye on the true cost of fast fashion? Or will you make a change, even if it's just one purchase at a time?
Rankings, Ateneo de Manila University ranked 38th globally in environmental sustainability, but we still have a lot of work to do. Despite being the sustainability frontrunner among Philippine universities, Ateneo has had difficulty in maintaining and advancing its sustainable energy practices. Looking at these numbers, these emissions speak for themselves and emphasize the need for greener plans, better sustainability outcomes, and greater commitment towards carbon neutrality. But why do we need to put so much pressure on Ateneo to do better? Well, with the level of influence universities like Ateneo hold, they are key to enabling society to transition to a safer and lower emissions future. And if not acted upon now, more than ever, Ateneo will continue to struggle with advancing its sustainable energy practices, which ultimately hinders the university's greater plans and commitments. So what do we have to do? Well, I evaluated Ateneo's current green initiatives, and here are the ways I think the university can improve its commitment to carbon neutrality. Ateneo took a big step in its green initiatives by partnering up with Shell Energy to provide 100% renewable energy to the university's operations. However, a lot of people remain unconvinced of this partnership because of Shell's reputation as a carbon major, its actions, and investments outside the partnership, which are contradictory. It also doesn't help that ever since this partnership, Ateneo's greenhouse gas emissions have only grew in size. This emphasizes the need for more robust monitoring, transparency, and accountability, which is why I propose for this partnership to take on a third party, a greenhouse gas officer who will more rigorously monitor Ateneo's greenhouse gas emissions as well as their performance towards carbon neutrality. This new position can also serve as a bridge between the administration and the community to foster transparency and trust. But more importantly, it will also place pressure on Ateneans to do better, be more active, and contribute to the bigger picture. My second solution involves the e-jeeps, which if you're an Atenean, you either love them or hate them. Even after almost a decade in service, the e-jeeps still haven't reached their full potential, and here's why. Lack of e-jeeps, limited routes, inaccessibility, unreliable schedules, and general lack of communication between the management and the users all contribute towards this inefficiency, which ultimately discourages users from consistently choosing the e-jeeps as the primary mode of transportation around Ateneo. Which is why I propose we adapt Northwestern University's TripShot shuttle tracker, an app used by students to track university shuttles in real time, receive enhanced alerts, and live ridership information. By creating an app that makes the e-jeeps more accessible and reliable, more people will be encouraged to shift away from car-centric models and learn to appreciate sustainable transport and mobility. So who needs to hear this? Well, I want to get this to Ateneo de Manila's core working group, especially in this time of drafting the university's climate action plan. These solutions can serve as a marker in developing, drafting, and future visions of the climate action plan to improve implementation, increase effectivity, maximize resource allocation, optimize operations, and achieve goals and objectives. But how will I do this, you may ask? Well, as a current student of Ateneo de Manila University, my first step would be to reach out to my course representatives at Sangguniang. And since my solution aligns with all three of Sangguniang's policy areas, and Sangguniang has a very strong background in representing students in university bodies and creating policy proposals, we can turn all of this into a reality. The university's ranking and the QS Sustainability Report affirms that we are in the right direction. However, to stay there, it demands continuous improvement and bold actions to set a standard for other institutions to follow. By re-evaluating past efforts and improving current practices like hiring a greenhouse gas officer and adapting models for improving sustainable mobility, Ateneo can truly fulfill its potential as a beacon for carbon neutrality, not just for the university but for society as a whole. All this to say, blue can always become greener if we all come together in the spirit of our social, civic, and environmental responsibilities toward a consistent and more conscious way of living. This long battle with climate change is far from over. In a 2018 report by the IPCC, we have 12 years to turn the fight against climate change around. Simon Stiell, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, said the next 2 years are essential in saving our planet, and we still have a chance to make greenhouse gas emissions tumble with a new generation of national climate plans. There is still so much more we can do. Improving sustainable transport, securing agriculture, holding institutions accountable, and consuming more consciously are only a fraction of what we can do to help. This video is just the beginning. Now, more than ever, we have to stand up for the planet and for our future. Is the next 2 years or the rest of our lives? Pitch in, do better, live greener, let's save the planet and our future together.